Hi, Danville. Alan Chills here, Chief of Police. We're 10-8 in service, which means we're here to make people's lives better. And we do that by safeguarding the lives, rights, and property of everyone we serve. We had the power go out this week. It was out. I think there was like 5,000 customers that were out. That was not a great event. But we are going to talk about it a little bit just to see if there's things we can do to kind of mitigate some of the hazard. So if you can, I'm curious if the power was out at your house, just put something in the notes. And then what did you do? Were you able to save your food? Did you have a backup generator? Do you have like a power wall? Did you maybe get some ice and throw it in? What did you do? And this is kind of where I think as a community, we have information that we present, but every situation is a little bit different. And it seems like people have some pretty creative ways of going through this. And I'll kind of describe what we did in my house as well. As always, this is a live show. So if you have information or a question or something you want to say, throw it in the chat. If it's a question, I'll be sure to get to it during the show. If I can't, I'll answer it live after the show. All right, some of our evergreen topics. We're still plugging the all hazards checklist by FEMA, and we're highlighting the power outage section, which will help you to prepare prior to, survive during, and be safe after. And then we talk about what you can do to protect yourself during a power outage, and there's some good tips in there. This is something you can print out, put it in a coffee table, and go over it once with the family and then break it out when you need it. Also sign up for our community warning system. This is where we alert when there are very significant hazards, and also go ahead and download the Wildfire Preparedness and Evacuation Guide. Some good tips in there on how to have a plan for you, your family, even your pets in there. And then we'll cover it in the show a little bit, but I want you to go to the PG&E website. There's a link in the description below, and there's some good tips on there on what you can do to be prepared. And then also they're going to give you a lot of alerts and good information on, when the power is going to be restored, what the cause of the issue is. And so you can get as good information, I guess, as they have. And then it gets updated. So like at my house, the power went out, and at first it said undetermined when it's going to come back on. And then the site updated to midnight, and then later to, about noon or so throughout the day. And then it did come on at about noon or so. So we were out for 20 something hours at our house. And then there's, if you like this, if you like the Coffee with the Cops, Recess with the Cops, we've got our Adult Citizens Academy. So if you're 18 and over, we'd recommend you come and spend some time with us. It's 7 weeks long, 3 hours, starts in March. And it's a good opportunity to see what it is that we do here at the police department to keep the town safe. And it really is good. We do take you out. That's the helicopter you see in the picture there. We take you also out to the driving course so you can see how we train our officers and why we train the way we do and why we do it as frequent as is practical. We also let you do a force option simulator so you can kind of see what that is like. But really, it's a good opportunity for you to get to meet us. And then it's kind of a focus group for us. Provide us some feedback and say, hey, I think here's a gap, and I think you can do it better if you do this. We're humble enough here to realize we are the only game in town, but we're surrounded by professionals in a variety of different career fields where they can provide their perspective and their insights. And frankly, we can learn from the services that all of you provide your customers and those that you serve. So if you're in a servant field, we're always more than happy to learn from others. All right, going to move on to the crime blotter real quick. You can always go to communitycrimemap.com. This is where you can get up-to-date information. We upload there several times a day. It is all the crime information, although we do exclude sex crimes and things like that. You can also get the Megan's Law information, so the sexual offender registry information there. All right, so January 29th through February 4th, accidents, not so bad. Great recovery from last week. Last week wasn't great. We had 2 hit and runs. They both looked to be kind of parking lot style. The first one was on 400 block of El Capitan, or parked car style rather, 400 block of El Capitan, and the other was another non-injury, and that was on the 100 block of Diablo Road. And those were reported to us on the 2nd and the 4th. Now with crime, a little bit different. Frankly, anytime there's a violent crime, that's not a great week for us. We have so little violent crime that we can often go a month and have no violent crime. So we had 1 aggravated assault. That's and to talk about that. An aggravated assault is something greater than a simple assault. So a simple assault may be a pushing and shoving. It may actually even be a punch, but it's to the degree that the injury doesn't cause someone to lose consciousness, doesn't cause them to need stitches. It's that significant of a battery. So we do have little batteries. There was one at the high school between a referee and a coach, and that one's being investigated. Those we don't report on as a part 1 crime. Those fall down into part 2. So for part 1, we had an aggravated assault. We had 2 burglaries. Both of them were residential burglaries, 2 thefts, and we had no vehicle thefts this week. So that was good. On the 30th, we had a burglary of a home on Kool-Aid Ranch Road. In this one, they smashed the rear glass door to enter. On the 1st, we had a package theft from Gingerwood Lane. On the 2nd, we had our other burglary of a home. This one was on Laurelwood Drive. And on this one, they smashed the back window to enter. And if you look on the map there, the residential burglaries are the ones in purple. I'm pointing that out because typically when we would get residential burglaries in the past, we would get them along the 680 corridor. These are out towards kind of the Blackhawk, McGee Ranch area. On the 2nd, we had an arrest for assault with a deadly weapon. This was kind of in our downtown area. This was on the 400 block of Harts Avenue. It's right in the middle of downtown. And on the 4th, we had a shoplift from a business on the 3400 block of Comunidad Sahara. Some leads on that one. We've got a vehicle. We're trying to follow up on that and see if we can't close that one out. All right. So not great for crime. The arrest log, not much on it this week. So if we take a look at it, it's really just that we call it a 245. That's the assault with a deadly weapon. In this case, it was not a firearm or a knife. During a dispute on the 400 block of Harts Avenue, the female was booked at the Martinez jail. All right. So we want to talk about the power being out. What does it look like and what do you do? And I want to see, and first I'll describe, what we do. And I don't have a big power wall. I don't have a big home generator. We don't have any of that. We've got a small generator. It's a 2000. Really, the idea is I just wanted to buy something that was reasonable, that should our power go out, I can at least keep our food cold and not have to throw away a bunch of food. And thankfully, we had just went to Lunardi's. I think we purchased like $350 worth of meat, and it was all in the fridge, and we didn't want that to go bad. So what I do is I pull the generator in the backyard. I fire it up. I usually don't run it past about 9 o'clock because I'm trying to be a good neighbor. And then at like 7 in the morning, I'll fire it back up again, and I'll just leave my freezer closed during that time. That usually does pretty good for me. So I don't feel like any of my food goes below, or rather above, a temperature that would require me to throw it out. So we're able to save our food. I actually can plug in our hot water heater because we have one of those tankless ones. So you have to plug it in. So I'm able to plug that in and get hot showers. We can microwave basic things. So we're able to kind of get over small humps of time. And it's not great, using the flashlights and stuff. But the good thing is we know where all the flashlights are. If this were extended, certainly I could use that generator to keep food cold so long as I had gas. We've got extra food supplies. We've got weeks and actually months worth of food at our house. And so we're prepared that should something catastrophic happen, that we've got supplies to kind of keep us going and get us over the hump to where we can make decisions past that. So that's what we do. I'm really interested in what all of you did. Our power was out for probably about 20 hours is about where we were at. So we had the night and the morning. The other side is thankfully we belong to a gym that's outside of the affected area. So in the morning we could still go to the gym, take our shower at the gym and do that as well. All right. So I'm really curious what all of you did. So David says he only had a short 2-minute outage over in on the east side in Wood Ranch. So David, you lucked out. That was good for you. Dina said power not out at her house, but dark at our neighbors right across the creek. Backyards are in the creek. Felt grateful that we had power. Sorry for those who didn't. Yeah, it was tough. Our house was like 2 blocks. So if you just went 2 streets over, they all had power. We were on the unlucky side of that. And then, so Lou, I'm hoping that wasn't me. Lou says, our next door neighbor has the noisiest gas generator that they ran all night. Arg. Okay. So Lou, so you gave me confidence that me shutting it off at 9 o'clock is the right thing to do. We actually have an inverter generator, so it's a little bit quieter, but the bottom line is it's such a quiet community that I think any noise, if you let it run all night, isn't good. So we just have a cutoff, get all the showers in, get everything you need done by 9 o'clock. That way we're not, you know, frustrating our neighbors with the noise, trying to get sleep. I do have to say it's really making me consider getting one of those, you know, battery backups, just so we can kind of run the basics. That would seem to be pretty good. So Sue says, I was fortunate. My neighbor called and offered to let me bring anything they needed refrigerated over. They have a Generac. So Generac is a generator. We have a small Generac. That's the brand name. So that's good. Yeah. Sue, that's actually a good point. Is that's kind of the neighborly thing to do, is to open up a portion or maybe throw an extension cord over the fence or something so that your neighbors have it. But let's see. We've got some information. Now, these are cut out straight from the FEMA All Hazards Guide and all that. But I'm going to go over the PG&E website first. We haven't actually broke this out ever before. And if you haven't seen it, I'm sure if your power was out, you probably went there. But if your power wasn't out, let's actually take a look and see what were the notices like. If you go to, and there's a, actually I didn't, no, the link is in the description. Yeah, there's a link in the description for this. So you can go down there and check it out. But this is what it looked like from our phones. And so if you look right away, you plug in your address and it'll tell you that that area, the power's off, when the restoration time is to be determined. And if you look at the time that we were doing this all across the Bay Area, at least this kind of South Bay and East Bay, it was littered with power failures. And then when we zoom into Danville, that's the next slide over, you can see that we had a significant portion of Danville that was covered by the power outage. And then if you look later on in the day, as we took another screenshot, the power was being restored to many of the neighborhoods. But let's take a look at what it looked like at first. And as PG&E gets updated information, they'll update the site. So instead of saying power is off, to be determined for estimated restoration time, we started seeing midnight, and then it would update to noon the next day. And I think ours was back on at about noon. And then I think the cause never changed from weather. But let's look at some of the tips and information that you can find on the PG&E website. And this is for your home. This is what you can do in your home to stay safe. And they talk about, you know, drinking water. So frankly, my family goes to Costco, and we've got, I think if you look at my garage right now, we've got about 8 or 9 cases of drinking water. And then I have 2 7-gallon water containers that I keep filled. And then I just cycle them through about every 6 months. I'll dump them in some plants or something like that. And then I'll refill them back up. Tools and utensils, you have to have some of those nearby. We didn't necessarily need tools last night, but you want to know where the basics, so that if you have to fix a light or something like that, you can take care of that. Food, you want to have the food that you can actually make. For us, we couldn't run a stove, couldn't run the oven, and frankly, it was a little cold and rainy, so I didn't want to go outside and use the barbecue or any of those other things. So what else did we have? Fortunately, we have a microwave. If we had to, certainly we could break out some of the outdoor cooking that is on gas or the pellets and do that. But have a plan for how you're going to make food, how you're going to cook food. If you're not big into packaged food, that can be kind of difficult if you need to cook it all. And then have a consideration for babies and pets. Always keep flashlights. I think we actually have like 2 of the lanterns, and then we have 4 of those little crush lights. They're just small lights. You can plug them in a USB. They're actually can be solar powered as well. We just keep them fully charged. They're all in one drawer. That's where they're at. And then we have flashlights scattered throughout the house, kind of the Maglite ones that we use here at work. They're actually pretty inexpensive. You can get them online, and they're not too bad. They're pretty affordable. And I think the battery time for D-cell flashlights is like 85 hours or something ridiculous. The radio is important, and we featured this before, but you want to get one of those weather radios that also has the NOAA, and that you can crank it by hand. So if you run out of batteries, you're good to go. I've got several kids in the house, and they all have devices of one kind or another. So we have a bunch of batteries, so we're usually good there. Interesting thing on the mobile phone and the charger is we have a bunch of those little portable chargers. We give them to each one of our kids has one. My wife has one. I have one. And those are great because we just keep them charged. Like I actually have it in my backpack right now. It just stays there because you never know throughout the day if you get busy with work. maybe you're draining your battery and it goes. And then now when we get it here and the power goes out, we can all charge our devices. Those are our alarm clocks for the morning to go to the gym. That's how we communicate with the world. That's how we get updates from PG&E. And so it's very important to make sure that you've got a way that isn't going to be running that generator next to Lou's house all night long to keep your phones charged, because that wouldn't be great. So make sure you have that. What else might you have? A basic first aid kit. We seem to have these all over the house. We keep them in the cars as well. Blankets and clothing, again, at our house, pretty easy to do that. Activities for kids, we found out quickly with no power, everything electronic that beeped or blinked was out. And it was amazing. Our kids had to pick up books, or we had to actually talk to one another. I'm joking. It wasn't strange. We do that all the time, but it's kind of an interesting way to connect. Important documents. This is in case you have to go to the doctor. Make sure you've got all that. A lot of it is on your phone nowadays, so I understand that. The medication and eyeglasses, I don't know about you, but I do keep a spare pair of glasses. I need them to see at night for distance. So I make sure that I've got a spare pair that's always in my bag. Toiletries, the toothbrush and all that, cash and credit cards. And then think about other useful tools. Me personally, most of the stuff you see on there, the little knick-knacky, the battery chargers, the tools and things like that, they're actually in my backpack. So you see me walking around Lunardi's or Lucky's later on tonight. In my backpack is a lot of the stuff that I would need should something happen. And that's just by nature of the job that I have. I may get called out, and now suddenly I'm not coming home for 18 hours because I'm managing some incident, and I've got to be self-sufficient for that time. So it's not that I'm aggressively ready for a power outage. I'm just aggressively ready for kind of this all hazards, things that may happen that I might need to respond to and be ready to manage. And so a lot is there. PG&E also has a pretty cool portal on here for business. Like, what do you do to prepare your business? And a lot of this, and what I'd ask you to do is, if you really want to get into reading this, I wanted to put it up there. You can pause it later on or screenshot it and zoom in. But ensure you can receive notifications, prepare and practice your plan at work, create an emergency contact list, prepare your facility. And that can mean different things to different facilities. I know here, at our work, we actually have a backup generator. You have an expectation as a resident or a business owner that lives here in town that your police department will function even when the power's out. So we have a generator. So our stuff is up and running. So officers are responding to calls. We're out there in the community, and we've got the tools that we need to do our job. So our preparation may be a little bit different than your business. I know that we had a lot of our town employees coming over, and they were using laptops, and so a lot of our employees are already prepared, because we have to be prepared in case there's a disaster or an emergency. So we do this kind of by nature, I guess is the best way to put it. So that goes into the explore backup options. If that's something that your business needs, consider some sort of backup power transfer. And ensure the generators actually work. We keep running into problems from time to time that with a new building and the new generator hookup, that sometimes there's some bugs in the system, so to speak, and we have to do resets. And so for me, it's important that the employees that work here know how to move past some of those faults that trip, and how to make sure that we have continuous power. What more can you do? Protect your important documents. I've seen it where all of the information that is stored on premises, and I'm not an IT person, but I know that there are much better ways to back up and store your documents, and you're also responsible for the security of those documents if you have customers. And then save hard copies of important documents and phone numbers. They should be accessible. Have backup batteries for your cell phone. You can also use some small backup batteries for your computer. So if you're in the middle of work and it goes down, you don't lose the work that you have. A lot of times just having a laptop instead of a desktop can resolve that issue. And then the other is internet. Where can you get internet? I know a lot of our businesses were pretty fortunate because people came to Starbucks just to do business. I think at one point, the Starbucks downtown on Harts, they were backed up like 50 orders because the pizza was down, the other Starbucks was down. And so they both had coffee, which was pretty important to a lot of people, and they had Wi-Fi hotspot. So employees could go there and get work done. The other is you can actually, and a lot of people don't know this, you can actually make your phone into a wireless hotspot. Yeah, you can do it through your carrier. There may be some pricing, but you can use that so that your iPad, if it doesn't have cellular, or your laptop, or you can use it for your desktop, anything that's Wi-Fi, you can plug into the internet through your cell phone. And so there's a lot of good backups there. And then the recommendation to keep a corded landline connected to a phone jack. I get it. I don't have one of those either. I know that's not a real popular thing. And then we'll run through the FEMA all hazards checklist real quick. Power outage, what does it look like? Again, I would just say pause this, or better yet, just download the FEMA all hazards checklist. Take an inventory now of what you rely on electrically. And this is different for everybody. If you've got medical devices, things that you have to have working, Lou, maybe that's your neighbor. Maybe that person has a medical device they have to have running, and that's why it's there. And so maybe they have specific needs for electricity. And so what I would say is go through your day, and as you use something that is electronic, especially if it's needed, if it's necessary, just write it down, and that way you've got a good account for that. Plan the batteries. Sign up for local alerts. So that's for us, it's Nixle, CWS alerts. But if it's power, it's PG&E. Just go to PG&E. They're going to give you the most up-to-date information. And when it comes to the alerts, usually you won't hear us put too much out. Like, we're not updating PG&E. That's PG&E's area, and they're going to have the most current information. What we would update is, hey, we've got some signal lights out. Make sure you stop at them. We get people running them all the time. And the common question is, well, if you know they're running them, why don't you just go out there and direct traffic? And I understand the question, and it really comes down to resource management. Our officers have to be available to respond to 911 calls if someone needs help. And if you think about all of the traffic signals in town, we don't have enough cops to manage every single one of them. And so we really rely on all of you to follow the rules of the road and make sure that you stop at those stoplights that are out. And then determine if your home phone works during a power outage. Some of them actually need power, so you want to make sure that you've got something that's plugged in if you're going to do that. We personally just run with a cell phone. Come up with a supplies list and make sure you have those supplies that you need. And then and this is kind of talking about the age, physically write down on paper phone numbers and contact information, because should you lose power to your phone or your phone goes down, you want to be able to go to another phone, a neighbor's phone, somebody, and you want to actually be able to call people. And if you don't have that stuff written down, good luck remembering it. We're going to breeze through some of these slides real quick, but I just want to show you the level of content that's in here. So during the event, you want to really pay attention to a couple of these. One is keep your freezers and fridges closed. They'll last for about 4 hours. They say, I find in my fridge, I can get about 6 to 8 hours out of it, no problem, without my food going bad. We've used coolers in the past, but I just choose to use the generators. And when in doubt, really throw the food out. And then Sue had a good one, and it's right in the survive during. It's check on your neighbors, and if your neighbors need help, or if you need help, it's okay to go next door and ask your neighbors, and that's why we're neighborly. And then what do you do afterwards? And this is the setup for all of these sections within the FEMA All Hazards Guide. How do you be safe afterwards? And this is the when in doubt, throw it out. And if power's out for more than a day, the recommendation, and you should consult your doctor, but the recommendation is to discard any medication that should be refrigerated, because it may be not good to use, but it also may be harmful to use. So consult your doctor on that and let them know exactly what you had. All right, I'm gonna look at the comments. Alicia says those small crush lights work great. I think they're awesome. They last forever. Little LED lights. They don't take much power to charge up, and they are fantastic. I think we got ours at REI. I think they're the Goal Zero crush lights. Work really, really well. So Sue is saying, I wonder what happened. We used to be on the same grid as the fire department. Yeah, I thought we were pretty safe. Our neighborhood, we used to never have the power go out. And I think last year it went out like 5 or 6 times on us. So it was a little frustrating. Lou says, may we use your generator to charge our phones and laptops? So we have done that in the past, where there are buildings we can actually stand up charging stations if power is going to be out for several days. So Lou, that's a good idea, and that's something we should consider identifying if the power is going to be out for more than a day or two. And then Sue says she drove to Dublin. They had power, but they had power in San Ramon too. That's where our gym is, and we went down there, and it was pretty nice to get a nice fresh cup of coffee and a good shower. So sounds like we all kind of made do. Nobody wants the nobody wants the power to go out. I think we all want continuity of power. We want the lights to come on. We want to cook our food when we want. I understand that, so I'm not criticizing one way or the other, PG&E or the service that's provided. I hope all of you listening take this as advice on how to mitigate some of the harm or the damage that can come with having the power out for an extended period of time, and how you can better prepare yourself and your family and your neighbors so that you can do better during these events. I think the first one, when it happened last year, I was actually taken aback a little bit. I was scrounging for lights all over the house, and it kind of taught me to tune up my process a little bit and make sure lights were centrally located. Everything was in a specific location. And now I don't like saying that it's gotten easier to have the power go out, but frankly, our family is just prepared for it. And it's less of a punch in the face than it was the first time it happened. All right, I'm checking the chat here. Looks like we had some more people with their power on. And Jason, I don't know what the good comment is in regard to. I'll take it as that it's good that we're reviewing some of this power outage stuff. That's all I have for tonight. I appreciate all of you joining. If you like this content and you want to keep this connection going, because it seems like it's something that is worthwhile, just make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button on YouTube. Click the little bell for notifications. And then on Facebook, just give us a thumbs up and consider sharing the content to your page or someone directly that you know, and that'll help boost the algorithm and get us into to more locations. All right, I think that's all we've got. But I do want to cover, if you want to hang out and see what your police department does, if you want to meet the officers, the men and women that serve you every day, we've got a great opportunity coming up with our Citizens Academy. I would encourage you to come down and join us. It starts March 27th. It's 7 weeks long, 3 hours every Wednesday, 2 Saturdays at 8 hours. Great opportunity to come meet us and see what your police department's doing. Sign up for alerts. Do both Nixle and the community warning system. Both are linked in the description below. And then download the community, the Contra Costa County Wildfire Preparedness and Evacuation Guide. And then go to the PG&E website. I went there again while our power was out, and it was pretty awesome. There's a lot of really good information there. I don't want to ever have to go there. If I'm being honest, I don't like that I have to go there because the power's out. But if the power's out, having the knowledge and the information that's on that site makes it a lot more bearable and kind of eases that. So do appreciate all of you joining us tonight and every night that you're here with us. I'll see you next week. We're 10:10, which means we're off duty, but we're always 10:8 and in service to all of you. Have a good night, Danville.